Clayton didn't plan on coming home early. Hell, the job was supposed to keep him out of town till Friday night. But something felt off. Work slowed down, so he thought, screw it, let's surprise Lauralee. They'd been drifting a little lately, but he chalked it up to life being busy. A weekend road trip was his way of fixing that. As he pulled into the driveway, his heart slammed against his ribs. A matte black truck sat parked in his spot. It wasn't one he recognized, and his gut twisted like barbed wire. His neighbor, Old Man Garrett, had mentioned a new truck a few days ago, but Clayton brushed it off as mistaken identity. Now, staring at the thing, that sick feeling turned into cold, hard dread. Clayton crept around the side of the house, quiet as a shadow. His boots barely touched the grass. The bedroom window was cracked open, and that's when he heard it. Laughter, low and intimate. His chest tightened. He inched closer, peeked through the blinds, and there they were. Lauralee, naked, in their bed, and with her, some dude who thought he owned the damn place. For a second, the world went silent. Clayton's vision blurred, but then a white-hot clarity cut through. He didn't storm in. He didn't yell. No, Clayton wasn't the type to blow his stack without a plan. He turned on his heel and left, jaw clenched so tight it could have cracked a diamond. Clayton drove away, his hands gripping the wheel like he was trying to choke the life out of it. His thoughts raced, and every one of them was a raging inferno. Not here. Not like this, he thought. He needed time to think, to plan, to hit them where it hurt. He ended up at his family's cabin, an hour out of town. As soon as he stepped inside, he grabbed the bottle of bourbon from the counter and poured himself a double, then another. The alcohol burned going down, but it wasn't enough to dull the pain. His phone buzzed. It was Lauralee. She sent a voicemail message. "Hey babe, just checking in. You still on for tomorrow? Can't wait." Clayton stared at the screen. Her words dripped with sweetness, but now they just felt like poison. He didn't respond. Instead, he opened his laptop, sat down at the old wooden table, and started making a list. The first thing on the list: document everything. He wasn't going to confront her with just feelings. Feelings could be denied, twisted, or dismissed. Facts? Facts had teeth. The next day, he called a buddy who worked in tech. "Bastian, I need a favor," Clayton said, keeping it vague. Bastian didn't ask questions. He owed Clayton one anyway. And within hours, Clayton had access to an app that could pull deleted texts and track shared devices. "Let's see what secrets you've been hiding, sweetheart." By that evening, Clayton had enough evidence to sink her. The app pulled a string of messages between Lauralee and some guy named Ridge. Seriously, Ridge. The texts made him sick. "I can't wait until next time, baby." And then one that nearly made him throw the phone. "He'll be out of town all weekend. We'll have the place to ourselves." Clayton smiled, a cold, dangerous smile. He wasn't just going to confront her. He was going to flip her perfect little world upside down. The next step was Ridge. Clayton found him easily enough thanks to the texts. Ridge wasn't subtle. A quick Facebook search turned up his profile. Married, 2 kids. And conveniently enough, Ridge's wife, Callista, worked at a law firm in the same city. Perfect. Clayton called Callista's office. "Hi, is Callista available? This is about her husband, Ridge. It's urgent." Within 10 minutes, he was on the phone with her. "Look, this is going to sound insane, but your husband and my wife have been screwing around behind our backs." He let the silence hang there, waiting for her to respond. When she finally spoke, her voice shook. "What did you just say?" "You heard me, and I've got proof. If you want it, let's meet." Clayton sat in his truck outside the coffee shop, the proof in a folder on the passenger seat. Screenshots, timestamps, and a few photos. Nothing left to chance. He wasn't here to just throw accusations. He was here to detonate a truth bomb. Callista arrived exactly on time, stepping out of a sleek black sedan. She was tall, with sharp features and the kind of professional polish that screamed she didn't take crap from anyone. Clayton respected that. He'd picked this place because it was public neutral ground, Neither of them needed a scene. "Clayton?" she asked, approaching the table where he sat nursing a black coffee. "That's me," he said, standing to shake her hand. Her grip was firm but hesitant. She was trying to keep her composure, but Clayton could see the cracks forming. "All right," she said, taking a seat. "You've got 5 minutes to tell me why I shouldn't walk out of here." Clayton slid the folder across the table. "Open it. You'll want to see for yourself." Callista hesitated, then flipped open the folder. Her eyes scanned the first page, and her expression shifted from skepticism to something much darker. By the time she got to the text messages, her lips were pressed into a hard line, her knuckles white as she gripped the folder. "That bastard," she whispered, almost to herself. Clayton leaned back, arms crossed. "Yeah, that's what I thought too." For a moment, she didn't speak. Then she closed the folder with a snap and looked him dead in the eye. "What do you want from me?" "Nothing," Clayton said, his tone even. "This isn't about getting something from you. It's about giving you the truth. You deserve to know what he's been doing, just like I needed to know about Loralee." Callista nodded slowly. "You didn't have to do this, you know. Most people would have just handled their own business and moved on." "I'm not most people," Clayton said. "And if the roles were reversed, I'd want someone to tell me." She stared at him for a long moment, then let out a shaky breath. "All right, thank you for telling me, but what's your plan now?" Clayton's eyes hardened. "Ridge and Loralee, they don't get to walk away from this clean. I'm done playing nice. I'm done being the guy who gets stepped on. They made this mess, and I'm making damn sure they live in it." Callista smirked, a faint flicker of amusement breaking through her anger. "Well, Clayton, I think they just screwed with the wrong people." For the first time in days, Clayton allowed himself a small, grim smile. "Glad we're on the same page. Before you find out what happens next, please subscribe to the channel." Clayton didn't waste any time. He knew the longer he let this play out, the more opportunity Loralee and Ridge had to manipulate the situation. It was time to move. First stop, home. He pulled up to the house around noon. Loralee's car was in the driveway as if nothing had happened. Clayton smirked. "You've got no idea what's coming, sweetheart." When he stepped inside, the smell of freshly brewed coffee hit him. Loralee was in the kitchen, humming a tune, her back turned to him. She didn't even notice he was there until he slammed the door shut. She jumped and spun around. "Clay, you're home early!" Her smile was wide, fake, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of panic. "Yeah," Clayton said, his voice steady and cold. "I figured I'd come home and surprise my wife. Seems like surprises are going around." Her face paled. What do you mean?" Clayton walked to the dining table, tossing the folder onto it. "Why don't you take a look?" She hesitated, her hands trembling as she reached for the folder. As she flipped through the pages, her breathing grew shallow. "Clay, I can explain." "Don't!" he snapped, cutting her off. "Don't insult me by pretending there's an explanation. You lied to me. You brought him into our home, into our bed, and you expect me to sit here and listen to excuses?" Tears welled in her eyes. "It was a mistake. I was lonely." "Lonely?" Clayton barked, his voice rising. "You were lonely while I was out there breaking my back to give us a life, while I was planning a weekend trip for us to reconnect. Spare me the pity party, Loralee." She reached out, but Clayton stepped back, his hands clenched into fists. "Don't touch me," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "Clay, please," she begged. "I love you." "Stop saying that," he growled. "You don't love me. You love yourself. You love the thrill, the attention, the lies. But me? I'm just the guy paying for this house and trusting you to be faithful while I'm gone." Loralee collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Clayton didn't care. He'd waited too long to get this out, and he wasn't done. "Oh, and by the way," he continued, his tone sharp as a blade, "I've already spoken to Ridge's wife. Callista knows everything. So your little affair? It's over." Her head shot up, panic flashing in her eyes. "You told her?" "Damn right I did," Clayton said. "She deserves the truth just as much as I do. And here's another fun fact. I'm meeting with a lawyer tomorrow. You can bet your ass this marriage is over." Loralee lunged toward him, desperation etched across her face. "Clay, please, don't do this. We can fix it." Clayton stared at her, his expression stone cold. Fix it? You're not even sorry you did it. You're sorry you got caught. Without another word, he turned and walked out the door, slamming it shut behind him. Laurelie's sobs echoed through the house, but Clayton didn't look back. He had more to do. Clayton parked his truck outside the small apartment complex where Ridge lived. The place was run down, with cracked pavement and peeling paint. Clayton checked his watch. Ridge's wife, Callista, had told him Ridge works in construction, so he sometimes has to stay at sites where his company is doing renovations. Time to knock on the devil's door. He strode up to Ridge's unit and banged on the door. No polite knocks. This wasn't a social call. It took a minute, but eventually, the door creaked open, revealing Ridge, taller than Clayton expected, but soft around the edges, like someone who spent more time lounging than lifting. Ridge's cocky smile faltered the moment he saw Clayton's face. "You Ridge?" Clayton asked, though he already knew the answer. Yeah? Who's asking?" Ridge said, trying to sound casual, but his voice cracked. "Clayton," he said, stepping closer. "Laurelie's husband." Ridge froze, his face draining of color. "Look, man, You don't speak unless I ask you to," Clayton growled, cutting him off. He stepped inside, forcing Ridge back into the apartment. The house was a mess. Construction materials, a crumpled couch, and a TV playing some reality show. "Turn that off," Clayton barked, nodding toward the TV. Ridge fumbled for the remote, his hands shaking. He managed to shut off the noise, leaving the room silent except for the ticking of a wall clock. "Here's how this is gonna work," Clayton said, his voice low but firm. "You're gonna sit your ass down and listen. Got it?" Ridge nodded quickly and slumped onto the couch, looking like a scolded child. "First off," Clayton said, pacing in front of him, "you ever come near Laurelie again, I'll make sure you regret it. You think I'm bluffing? Try me." "Man, it was a mistake," Ridge started, but Clayton's glare stopped him cold. "A mistake?" Clayton spat. "You don't accidentally screw another man's wife for weeks on end. You don't accidentally lie to your own wife while you're doing it. This wasn't a mistake, Ridge. This was a choice. And now you're gonna live with it." Ridge swallowed hard, but Clayton wasn't done. "You know who I just got off the phone with?" Clayton said, leaning in close. "Callista, your wife. She knows everything, and she's not the type to roll over and play nice. She's meeting with a divorce lawyer. So, congratulations. You blew up 2 marriages for what? A thrill? A distraction? You must feel real proud." Ridge's hands were clenched into fists, but he didn't make a move. He knew better. "You're lucky I don't beat your ass right here," Clayton said, his voice like steel. "But I'm smarter than that. You're gonna pay for this in ways you can't even imagine." Ridge opened his mouth to speak, but Clayton raised a hand to silence him. "Don't say a word. Just sit there and think about the wreckage you caused." Clayton turned to leave but stopped at the door. "Oh, and one more thing. If you think you can hide from this, you're wrong. Your wife's got the proof. I've got the proof. And soon, so will your boss. Let's see how your job handles knowing they've got a liar and a cheater on their payroll." Ridge's eyes widened. "Come on, man. Don't do that." Clayton smirked. "Don't tell me what to do. You lost that right the moment you stepped into my house." With that, he slammed the door behind him, leaving Ridge to stew in his own mess. Clayton climbed back into his truck, feeling the first flicker of satisfaction. This was far from over, but Ridge was officially on notice. Clayton didn't stop to bask in the aftermath of his confrontation with Ridge. There was no time for that. The truth had to spread, and Clayton had no intention of leaving any loose ends. By the time he pulled into the parking lot of Callista's office, his plan was already in motion. Callista was waiting for him at the lobby door. She looked different this time. No professional facade, no mask. Her face was hard, her jaw tight. "You weren't kidding," she said, holding up her phone, where Ridge's texts were on full display. "He admitted everything. I told him I wanted a divorce. You should have heard him begging." "Good," Clayton said, his tone flat. "He's not getting a free pass. Neither is Laurelie." Callista's eyes flickered with something dark. Determination. Maybe even a little vengeance. "I'm not just leaving him. I'm burning the bridge." You said his job needs to know? I can make that happen. Clayton raised an eyebrow. You sure you want to go there? Callista smirked, and for the first time he saw just how sharp she could be. I'm a lawyer. If he wants to fight dirty, I can fight worse. Clayton liked her style. They spent the next half hour strategizing. Callista had contacts in Ridge's company, HR reps who didn't take kindly to scandal. By the end of their conversation, Ridge's cushy job was as good as gone. Clayton's next stop was his own house. He wasn't going to confront Loralee this time. He'd already done that. Now it was about control. He walked in and immediately headed for the home office, ignoring the sound of Loralee's panicked voice behind him. Clay, we need to talk. No, you need to listen, he snapped, spinning around to face her. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to pack your things and get out of my house. Her face crumpled. Clay, please. Save it, he said, cutting her off. You had your chance to explain. You lied over and over again. This isn't your home anymore, it's mine. You can go stay with Ridge for all I care. Oh wait, his wife is throwing him out too. Guess you'll both be homeless. Her tears didn't faze him. He'd hardened himself to her manipulation. Instead, he handed her a folder. Here's the number for a divorce lawyer. I've already filed. Don't bother contesting it. You won't win. What about counseling? What about us? She begged. Clayton's laugh was sharp and bitter. Us? There is no us. You killed that the moment you let him into our bed. Loralee sank to the floor, sobbing, but Clayton didn't stick around to watch. He grabbed his essentials, clothes, personal documents, a few sentimental items, and walked out the door without a backward glance. The next day, Ridge's life imploded. Callista's contacts in HR worked fast. By noon, Ridge was called into a meeting and handed a termination notice. His boss, a no-nonsense woman named Nadine, made it clear that his personal conduct reflected poorly on the company. Ridge left the building with a cardboard box and no future prospects. By the time he got home, his apartment was empty. Callista had cleared out everything but the bare essentials. She left a note on the counter. You made your choices. Now live with them. Clayton didn't gloat. He didn't need to. Watching everything fall into place was satisfaction enough. He moved into temporary housing provided by his company, started therapy with a counselor Callista recommended, and began rebuilding his life. Clayton didn't need revenge to define him. It wasn't about hatred or destruction. It was about justice. Ridge and Loralee thought they could play their games without consequences. Now they knew better. It was a week before the court hearing when Clayton's phone buzzed with an incoming call. He saw Loralee's name flash on the screen and let out a long, exasperated sigh. He debated ignoring it, but something told him she wouldn't stop until she had her say. Against his better judgment, he answered. What do you want, Loralee? He said, his tone as cold as steel. I want to talk about the house, she said, her voice wavering but laced with determination. I deserve a share. I lived there too, Clayton. I've got rights. Clayton couldn't help but laugh, a dark, humorless sound. Rights? Loralee, you gave up your rights when you brought another man into our bed? That doesn't change the fact that I was your wife, she snapped, a hint of defiance creeping into her tone. The house is part of the marriage. Clayton's voice dropped, sharp and deadly. Let me make this crystal clear for you, Loralee. If you push this, if you try to take 1 cent out of that house, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly who you are and what you did. Your friends, your family, your co-workers, hell, even the barista at the coffee shop will know the full story. She fell silent, but Clayton wasn't done. And while you're at it, why don't you give Ridge a call? Ask him how it feels to be a pariah. He's out of a job, out of a marriage, and out of excuses. That's your future if you keep this up. Clay, she whispered, her bravado crumbling. That's not fair. What's not fair? He shot back, his voice rising. Is you thinking you can destroy my trust, my marriage, and my life, and still walk away with a piece of my home? You don't get to win here, Loralee. Not this time. Her silence was answer enough. Clayton pressed on, his tone softer now, but no less firm. I'm giving you one chance to walk away with whatever dignity you have left. You can take your clothes, your furniture, whatever you need to start over. But the house? That's mine. And we both know why. After a long pause, she finally muttered, "Fine." "Good," Clayton said, the finality in his voice leaving no room for argument. "You can tomorrow to pack up your stuff, and don't make me regret giving you that chance." The next day, Lauralee showed up with a moving truck and 2 friends to help her load her belongings. By the time they finished, the house felt emptier than ever. Once the divorce was finalized, Clayton wasted no time putting the house on the market. Every corner, every wall, every damn inch of the place was a reminder of her betrayal. He didn't need it. He didn't want it. Within a month, the house was sold, and Clayton walked away with enough cash to start fresh somewhere far from the ghosts of his past. As he watched the moving van pull away with the last of his belongings, Clayton felt a weight lift off his chest. This wasn't just the end of a chapter. It was the beginning of a new one. Lauralee had tried to drag him down, but in the end, she'd only made him stronger. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe to the channel. I wish you a great mood and good luck.